Hey friends, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Journey. Guys, in this video we are going to be talking about the JK Western cowboy boots. Now I figured what better spot than to go kick around the small town county fairgrounds. Just imagine this place full of fans watching people come out of the buck and shoot, trying to hold on for 8 seconds. But friends, before we get into these boots, I want to introduce y'all to my new little friend. Come here, Walter. Come here, buddy. Come here. Good boy, good boy. All right, friends. So this is our new little buddy. His name is Walter. Here's his little stick. So friends, if you have been watching the channel for some time, I think one of the greatest parts of the Gentleman's Journey has been our dog Indiana. Now, we've been on so many adventures showing you guys all the new boots, guys. He's been such a big part of this channel, and if you look back a couple videos ago, you'll saw that we lost him. Now friends, it's just as hard today as it was, a couple months back. And we have a new little friend. This is Walter. So everybody hit the like button for Walter. That way I know you guys are thoroughly introduced to him. But you know what? I think Walter's gonna hit the trails with us. We're going to be taking boots like this and all kinds of stuff as we get into other Gentleman's Journey type stuff and go out camping and whatnot. I think you guys are going to see this little boy a lot more. So friends, I wanted to introduce you to Walter. He's our new little buddy, and you'll be seeing a bunch more of him in the future. So what do you say we get over and talk about these boots? We're going to go through the nuts and bolts. We're going to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. We're going to go through the build quality, the construction, and just kind of do that initial review. Now, don't forget to subscribe. That way you can hang back for the 1-year review when I've wore these boots and put them through their paces. All right, friends, so let's open these up and see what we're dealing with. Now, something I noticed right away on the box with JK Western is all of their literature. And one of them, as a Christian, I enjoyed. They said, "Even as my foes gather round, my mug runs over and my brim without bound." Psalm 23:5 Cowboy translation. So I'll have to check that out and see how that translates. But friends, at any rate, check out these boots. So here we are today checking out JK Western. So a little bit about the company, guys. If you're probably all familiar with JK boots because it's a Pacific Northwest staple. You know them from their logging boots and their work line and all that. And they saw a niche in the market to hop in and get on with this Western culture. Now again, friends, we're at this fairgrounds. I was here about a month and a half ago when the county fair was happening. And let me tell you, the Western Americana Western culture is thriving. It seems like it's actually growing. Here we are, 2024, and the Western culture is as big as ever. And so JK saw a little opportunity to hop in, and the aim today is to see how they're doing. Is this cowboy boot going to hold up with the best of them? Was it a good decision for the company to get on with it? But again, they have a cowboy's prayer, and so they have a bunch of that literature and stuff like that along there. So I haven't picked up on the Christian vibe of this company, but I was really happy to see it. So friends, we're going to go through the build quality and construction, and again, a little bit about the company. I'm surprised myself that I'm actually buying JK because I had a bad experience when I reached out to them. I don't know if I got a robot on their email or just kind of a dud of an employee, but trying to do a collaboration. You guys have known that we've toured Nick's, we've toured Frank's, and we've worked with White's. They sent us out boots and stuff like that. So I wanted to get in and see JK for myself, but I got lost in the translation with the emails. And so I'm not going to be the first to hold a grudge, and so happy to spend some money. I did buy these. When I bought these boots, they were $384. So friends, that's money that's worth talking about. That's not running out to the hardware store and buying a set of cowboy boots. So they have a bunch of boots I'm interested in. In fact, I'm surprised I got these because I've really been interested in the 300. They have this boot model called the 300 in the redwood. That's the one that does it for me. And then they have the forefront in the redwood. So let me know if you guys have those boots. Did you go with a traditional kind of rubber outsole, or did you go with the wedge outsole? I'd be keen to know what you guys got, and if you think there's a big enough difference to jump up from the 300 over there to the forefront. So those are some boots I'm interested in. Of course, some of their work line, you know, other of their P&W style kind of firefighting boots and stuff like that I've been interested in. But at any rate, today we're talking about their Western line. Now, some of you might be turned off by the fact that these are not American made. They're not made up there in Spokane. They're actually made in Leon, Mexico. Now, that didn't turn me away. You know, we just did a review of Chiso's. I think Thursday Boot Company is probably made somewhere down around Leon and stuff like that, if I remember right. But at any rate, friends, that wasn't a turnoff for me. But I think my aim in the next year, as I'm looking at the 1 year review and trying to follow JK Boots and trying to follow the company as a businessman myself, just trying to see, was it a good move? Are the people going to relate to this? Because when you think JK, you think American made, and you want to support your brothers and sisters who are up in Spokane working and getting it done, and now you're sending some of the money down to Mexico and some of the production. And of course, I don't know how often they're down there overseeing it and stuff like that, but they say that, you know, JK and all the fellas there designed these boots, engineered them up in Spokane, and they're made down in Mexico. So at any rate, wanted to let you guys know that right off the gate. I think it's a great company. If you check out Wrangler Star's company, or if you check out Wrangler Star's video, he was over there and did a little tour of the shop and stuff like that, and I appreciated that video. So as far as I can tell, it's a phenomenal company, and I was more than happy to spend some of my hard-earned money over there with these guys. We'll see what we can do in the future on some of those 300s. But something striking about these boots right out the gate, of course, is that 12-inch shaft. Now, if you're a hipster getting into cowboy boots for the first time, this may throw you for a loop. You know, you're not used to that. But what JK, I believe, is marketing to is guys who are not only going to be in the grandstands watching the rodeos, but guys that might be coming out of the buck and shoot over there wearing these boots. So we're going to see in the next year if they kind of hold up to that. But honestly, friends, it was appealing enough to get my attention. I really like all the embroidery work coming down here. This is all hand done in Mexico. You can tell the craftsmanship. These guys are hard workers. Absolutely beautiful. I think this pattern obviously is unlike you've seen. You'll see little notes like this on the back that really look like the toe. And so we'll get into my thoughts on that here in a little bit. But they offer this boot in a brown, and then they offer it in a black. So you got two leather options right now, and I thought it was neat. Interestingly enough, this is called the Redwood. Now, friends, if you take a look at this color boot and you take a look at the Redwood on the 300 or the forefront, like I'm talking about getting, it does seem different. This seems like an orange to me, more of an orange tones, whereas the 300 and the forefront, that leather is their, I believe it'd be more of a work leather, and I think it's just a totally different leather. We'll have to ask them and stuff like that. It's undoubtedly thicker on those boots, because this is pretty thin, supple leather, and that looks a lot more like a strong P&W work leather. So I imagine they're using the name Redwood, but they couldn't be more different. That has more of the red tones, where this has more of the orange tones. So again, we're working with a 12-inch shaft, and then we have this, what they're calling the bovine leather. Now, I think, to me, that sounds like a trick to make you kind of think it's different than your regular cowhide or something like that. Bovine just means it comes from a cow, a steer, or a bull, and it's just cow leather. But what I would say, because again, I bought these, they're 384 bucks. I think they've gone up a little bit, maybe 10 bucks since I bought them. What you're looking for, especially from a Pacific Northwest bootmaker, is you want to hear more about the leather. Now, we don't even know how it's tanned. I believe it's probably some variation of veg chrome tanned, because they don't give you a lot of information on the sourcing or where the leather comes from. But typically, if it's a really good leather, they're going to let you know about it. And so there's a lot of companies that advertise, this is your Chrome XL, or you know, your Horween, or you got all these amazing tanneries, and that becomes a boast. And so since you don't know a lot about this, we just don't know where it's sourced, if it's sourced in Mexico or the States or even in Bangladesh or something. You just don't know much about the leather. Unless I missed something, let me know in the comments if you guys know more about the leather than I do. But at any rate, I usually go top down, talk about the laces and the hardware, and obviously on a cowboy boot there's none of that, so we'll get back into that embroidery. Now friends, something that you'll notice directly from the website when you go to buy this boot or look it up to see if it's something you're interested in is the toe. Now this stitching here is something that I can't make up my mind about. This pattern is obviously their own. They're trying to kind of stand out, and if you saw this pattern at this point, you would know it's JK because it's just different than your typical Western boot, and that bothered me. So I think I sat on it for like a couple weeks or a month or something, and I just wasn't sure if I could get on board with that pattern. I know they probably spent a lot of time designing it and someone's super proud of it. It's gonna probably have to grow on me, but it was enough to where finally I was like, all right, I'm gonna get that boot. But you know, that's kind of each to their own. I do like a lot of the typical patterns you see on the toe, on the vamp of a regular cowboy boot, but again, you'll see it here, you'll see it there, and then it's just their own particular little shape. But on the side, friends, all this rolled work and stuff just looks absolutely beautiful. I can't get over how awesome that stitching is, and we'll see how that grows on me. So while we're talking about the toe area, guys, I think this toe right here, they call it kind of a rice husk toe, and so it has that curve to it. It's kind of like a rice husk, if you will. But anyways, the toe is not too round like a roper, and then it's not too square or pointed like maybe a John Wayne toe. So they have, I think what they pulled off really well is a nice happy median. It also is really roomy. Of course, I've had the boots on and they fit well. It's really roomy, and you even have a little bit of height, but not too much where it's kind of bulbous or anything like that. So I think the toe is really awesome. They don't mention it. You feel something in there, so they have to probably have something on the liner. I was just surprised that they didn't mention it, but it is holding a little bit more shape, and you can see it, you can feel it a little bit, but they do mention that the heel counter is structured, so there's some leather in there, so they probably built up the toe as most boot makers do, and then they have a leather heel counter. So those are some of the things that guys are looking for in a real high quality boot. You want to see as much leather as possible. Any of the synthetics or cardboard just really doesn't belong in the boots. But you know, this isn't something that you're going to get in the steel toe option. And in terms of coming from P&W boot makers, especially Frank's, you know, I know them so well, where you can just design it however you want, and they're so amazing about all these details. You know, this is pretty much an off-the-shelf boot, like you would get, you know, your pair of Justins or Double H or something like that. It's not something where you can ask, as far as I know, for a steel toe. It's being made down in Mexico, not up in Spokane, so I don't think there's a lot of customization like you've grown to kind of want and expect from some P&W boot makers. Now the liner, friends, on the inside of the boot is going to be calf skin, so it's a little bit different than the outside. It's going to be thin, it's going to be supple and pliable and really smooth, and they're doing their best to make sure that stitching on the inside is really smooth. Probably not paying as much attention when I looked at it as Chiso's is to make it really smooth, or I've even heard that Lucchese is kind of rough sometimes on the inside. But honestly, friends, we'll get into my thoughts at the end, but we'll keep some of these things in mind in terms of the quality, and is it maybe a $380, almost $400 boot. But then you get down into kind of the structure of the boot, and so it's going to have a leather insole, a leather outsole, and then just put together with a Goodyear welt. I'm not hearing any mention of a metal shank or any kind of fiberglass shank, or even any kind of built-up leather shank that you'll see in some of the boots in the P&W. But as far as I can tell, just a couple layers of leather there. And then, of course, to the outsole, you have leather. Now, friends, if you want to add to the life of your boot, when you get them, before they're scratched up, just like mine are brand new, you can take it to your cobbler friend and have them put a leather, or you can have them put a rubber sole on there, kind of like the heel has. So the heel, you can see that JK shining through, and this is a stacked, I think, inch and a quarter heel, stacked leather, and then the rubber, and you can get more rubber put on here if that's something you're interested in. Actually, that's an inch and 3/4 heel, and then you have your lemon wood pegs here. So that's another thing that folks are really looking for in a kind of custom, really high quality boot maker, is the lemon pegs. You'll see metal or brass mixed in as well. It looks like, as far as I can tell, it's all lemon wood, and that wood is really good about when you get moisture, it'll stretch and shrink and expand, and it makes for a better hold for the leather. It'll make the boot last longer. That's the understanding, at least, and that's a check mark that kind of the good boot makers make sure and they want to tick, because that's something that guys are looking for. You sit down at a boot shop like we did over in Texas and talk about Lucchese's, and that's, you know, where you get that whole rundown and stuff like that. It's just kind of a staple that guys are looking for. In terms of the break-in, you know, we're gonna know a lot more when we get into that 1-year review. So again, guys, make sure and subscribe, and you'll hang back for that. But honestly, again, it's a super supple leather, friends. So I don't expect much at all. I was looking at some of the reviews. It sounds like guys had these broken in really quickly. And so with all that leather there, it's just really thin, really supple. It's not gonna be like your work boots that you're used to with maybe a month-long break-in. And I wanna talk about sizing a bit. You know, they have a lot of options. Just like any of the boot makers these days, pretty much the run-of-the-mill sizes. They got some half sizes. I'll make sure and have that here on the screen. But if you have something kind of an outlier, some kind of question, I would just encourage you to email them back and forth. That way you get it worked out. But just like any of them, you know, they have a good return policy. Just try them on in your living room, friends, with some carpet, so you don't get that scratched up for the next guy. And I think you'll be plenty good to go ahead and send them back if you need to get a return. But what I saw is plenty of good sizes. Now, I got an 11.5. So what they are saying is if it's true to size, but they also say buy your most common boot size. So that to me is a little off, only because my most common boot size is at least half a size down from my normal size. So again, friends, sizing gets crazy. Make sure and ask me any questions that you have. But I'm a size 12 on a Brannick device, and I went 11.5, and that fits me great. Now with Whites, Nicks, and Franks, I go down all the way to an 11, but I am a 12 on a Brannick device. So one of my feet are right at a 12, and the other one's is a little shy. So I guess in theory, you could put me at 11.75 and then a 12. So it's kind of wonky, but I think we all have situations like that. 11.5 did me good. It was half a size down. Let me know in the comments if you guys have JK Westerns, how the sizing went for you. You know, if you're a 12 in a sneaker, did you buy a 12 and was it okay? Or are you finding yourself wearing a thick sock all the time? I'd be curious to know your guys' sizing. So all we got now, friends, is the pros and the cons. So again, I kind of told you some of my initial thoughts of, you know, I'm not sure if it's the right move for the business. I don't know how people are gonna take to these boots being made in Mexico. We're gonna have to see. In terms of the design, I think it's awesome. They got 2 colors. Just like anything, I'd love to see more colors, more leather options. I'd love to know so much more about their leather, kind of what type of leather it is, where they're sourcing it. Again, with this leather, in terms of care instructions, friends, I would grab some Black Rock Leather Enriched. That's what I'm on to right now. Since we don't know a ton about the leather, I don't think you can do much to mess it up. I think Black Rock would be a really great option. Let me know if in the comments if you guys want more options, and I will give those to you. But I'll put a link to Black Rock down in the description. I would run that on this, guys, but honestly, friends, I'd love to know a little bit more about the leather. I'm not crazy about this pattern, but I still bought it. So that, you know, do that with what you will. And then the leather outsole is a pro and a con. You know what you're buying before you get it. It's gonna wear out. It's totally reconstructible. It's a Goodyear welt, so you can put this thing through so many outsoles. You can run through them and just have any local cobbler can tear into these and he'll know what to do. So great there. In terms of the build quality and stuff, we're gonna have to see. I think that's what I'm gonna say. We're gonna have to see. I don't think in my estimation that it feels quite like a $400 pair of boots to me. You know, the liner and stuff, when you look at it, it really just reminds me of an off-the-shelf boot. Now, this won't be a review. We'll get into that maybe, especially if you guys want that. I'll compare it to the Chisos, but I would say, you know, my initial review of Chisos, my initial review of these, they might be a little bit better quality, but they are a good $200 more. So I think that's why they're a little bit better quality. But I would probably lower the price on these a little bit. I think they're asking a bit much. I would love to see them made in the USA, just so we can throw support to other people that live near us, that share our dreams and values, and keep money in America as much as possible. Keep some of the transit down, and I'd love to see some of the, make sure that the leather is coming from American cattle. You know, that would be awesome, stuff like that. But great company. I'm excited to work with JK in the future. Who knows, maybe they'll see the video and hop on and answer some of the questions I have and some of the questions you guys have. I'm gonna be looking at getting that 300 in the future, unless you guys tell me different and I should go for the other option, about $200 more, I think. But at any rate, let me know what you guys think of the JK Western brand. If I'm not mistaken, they have cowboy hats and they're going all in on this. So in their location, you know, it's out in the Wild West, if you will. So plenty of opportunities to see JK Western grow. I think it'd be pretty neat. You know what? Like I said, I bought these boots. I'm keen on them. And now, friends, it's just time to dig in. So I apologize, but we're not taking these on a little adventure today. We're going to get back into that. Like I said, we got the dog, and we're going to get back into adventures. We're going to do other stuff on the channel, all kinds of guy-related stuff. On this channel, we aim to become better gentlemen. I'm doing that, and I want to take you guys with me. One of the best ways that I think we can become better gentlemen is to press into the Lord through scripture, through prayer, and find really good God-fearing men to surround ourselves with. And so I'm going to leave that with you guys. But until the next video, friends, God bless. And hey, don't forget to give your JK boots some love from time to time.